Right. So let us begin. Um, Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let me quickly go through the list. Good morning, Gabriela. Good morning, Queen. Faizat, Jog. Good morning. Owolagba. Good morning.
Good morning.
Gibos. Good morning. Good morning, every one of you. I hope all had a very great week. And once more, welcome to your project management class, week 2. And then we'll be continuing from where we stopped last week. Yes, just for us to begin, we want to remind ourselves of our ground rules. Our ground rule is that whenever you log into the meeting, what you need to do is for you to mute your mic and also keep your camera off. When you do that, because the class is being recorded, our friends, our team member who are presently on call, who are also not chance to join the live class, they'll be able to listen to the recordings and they'll be able to get clear recording of it. Then, in as much as there is a noise background coming from my end, another thing I want to do is to ensure that I am audible enough so that the recording can also be clear and sound. So, but before we begin properly, I would like to now ask us if you all can hear me. So please, if you can hear me, I'll call just 3 persons. They will just unmute their mic and confirm that they can hear me. Then, of course, we go ahead with our class. Queen, kindly unmute and confirm that you can hear me. Queen, can you unmute your mic and confirm that you can hear me? Okay. Princess, your mic is unmuted, so please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. We usually do 3 tests. Faizat, good morning. Please confirm that you can hear me.
I can
Good
hear you.
morning. I can hear you, sir.
All right.
I can.
Queen, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. You can hear me right? Well,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
all right. So we can all mute our mic now so that we'll begin our class properly. So let us all mute our mic. Yes, all mics should be muted. Yes. Princess, your mic is coming up. Yes, all mics should be muted. All mics should be muted. All right, so the I can override it from here. The penalty for not muting your mic when you come in is that we'll take you out of the meeting. So when we take you out of the meeting, by the time you come back, we must have said something that maybe you miss. Now, what needs to happen is that you have to now go and play the recording from beginning to the end so that you can catch up. Last week, we began our discussion on projects. We began our discussion talking about projects, talking about the features of projects. We were able to look at the framework of projects. We were able to define what project is. And we say projects is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create unique product, service, or results. We pick out that for one of the features of projects is that it is temporal, that a project assignment is temporal. And we went ahead to say, for us to be able to identify what a project is, it must also create a unique result, meaning that for you to call a project, it has to be temporal. It also has to create a unique result. And we went ahead to also say projects are progressively elaborated. We're able to use simple example to see when we can make use of change. And we went ahead to say project drive change in organization. Project drives business from point A to point B. Then, of course, we went ahead to define what a project success is. And we say project success will be based on the specification, on the requirements that you have gotten from the sponsor. So success is not defined by budget. Success is not defined by schedule. Success is defined by the results you created, by the deliverables that you make. You understand? Another word for deliverable is results. You understand? Specification, what you deliver. I would say projects are face constraint, and we look at three major constraints. We call them the triangle constraint. We say time, costs, and scope. And we're able to tell you that scope also means work. So every project is affected by constraint. Then we went ahead to look at the 10 knowledge areas when it comes to us managing projects. We were able to distribute these knowledge areas across the 49 processes, or we were able to distribute the 49 processes across the 10 knowledge areas. And we're able to see that for us to integrate management, there are 7 processes we need to carry out, so on and so forth till we got to the 49 processes. Then we went ahead and began our discussion again on the 2 processes involved for us to carry out a project. But before that, we actually look at the project life cycle. We said the project life cycle begins with initiation, moves the arrow to planning, and from planning we go to execution. And between execution and monitoring and controlling, as we are working, we'll also be monitored. And when we see that there are some changes that needs to be made, we need to go back to the planning and replan, then we'll come back and execute, monitor and control, and of course, at the end of the day, the project comes to a close. And we're able to take the first 2 processes when it comes to initiation, which is for us to develop project charter and identify stakeholders. So we continue our discussion in developing charter. Then I think we were able to also got into identifying of stakeholders, but we did not finish the stakeholders because there was no time. So this morning, we are going to resume our discussion on stakeholder. But of course, last week, we were also able to look at the organizational structure, where we say there are functional organization, there are projectized organization, there are metrics organization. Where power is shared, where power is shared, we say it's a metrics. When authority, full authority is given to the project manager, we say such organization is a projectized. And when we say power authority is given to the functional manager, we say that organization operates on functional management. And we went ahead to begin our discussion in project initiation. Then we were able to see what actually makes projects, what makes organization to embark on a project. And we say there are needs and of course demand. That's what makes organization to embark on projects. And we also were able to look at other 7 possible needs and demands that can bring about projects. And we say market demands, strategic opportunity, business needs, customer requests. We're also able to look at advanced technology. Then we went ahead to see that there are legal requirements, which has to do with law, ecological impacts. Then we also went ahead to see that there are social needs that will make organizations to embark on projects. And of course, we now went properly into project initiation. We develop our project charter. We also identify stakeholders. We made a case for when it comes to developing our project charter. We develop a case. Why are we embarking on this project? What is going to be the benefit of us embarking on this project? And all of that. So now, let's continue our discussion from projects and stakeholders identification. Last week we said people in the hospital that are not feeling well, what are they called? We say they are called patients. And we say people in classroom, what are they called? We say they are called students. Then of course, we went ahead to tell you that in projects, anybody that you see in projects, they are called stakeholders. And we said we're going to find out and see key stakeholders and non-key stakeholders. So what were the tools we're going to use to identify stakeholders? We made mention of it. Expert judgment is something that usually still comes up on and on and on. Expert judgment can never be overemphasized. You need to talk to people people that know how the job is done, people that have done some such similar project before. Yes, they are the ones that we can walk up to. They are the ones that we call our expert judgment. You understand? So we walk up to them, they'll be able to give us an idea. Okay, we walk up, maybe I went to Gabriela and I said, Gabriela, please help me check this my project. Oh. Who be the stakeholders waiting for this my project? I can even ask my sponsor, who are the who be the people waiting for this project? Say, are there other people apart from this project, apart from you, where I go feel know? When you seek opinion, you begin to find out. I can go to Gabriela. Gabriela, help me check this document. I know say you don't manage this kind of project before. Help me check. Is there any stakeholder that is missing? Gabriela will now begin to tell me, okay, you need so person. Oh, that person needs to be part of your stakeholder because this person, he or she knows very, very much. He knows very, very well what they are doing. Now, when you identify stakeholders, you may now find out that 10, 5, or 20 of them, you find that then the next thing you need to do is for you to now list them. You put them on a list. You understand? You list their name so that you can now have their full list. Then the next thing you want to do analysis on each of them. Yes. I think most of us are doing data analysis, so this will help you. So I've been able to identify one of the stakeholders. The stakeholder is Philippa. And I'm asking myself, okay, in this organization, what department is Philippa coming from? Okay, Philippa is in the shelter department. Okay, what is Philippa's interest in this project? What is Philippa's interest in this project? Oh, Philippa wants precision, meaning that the way you take day for the book, the way you take specialize them for the book, now so the thing will need to do, no error. It must be just exactly as they specify them for the project charter. You understand? So I've been able to identify that Philippa is somebody who likes precision. Then the next thing I want to ask myself is, this Philippa, does she have power to make decision, or does she have power to influence those people that make decision? Now, how do I get across to Philippa when I need to communicate with Philippa? Maybe I want to give her some information. Yes. So what kind of a stakeholder is Philippa? Is this supportive or is this resistive stakeholder? And the list goes on and on. What am I doing? I'm analyzing the stakeholder. I'm analyzing Philippa as a stakeholder. I'm trying to get to know her to be sure of the kind of stakeholder that she is. You understand? And when it comes to plan communication, you also need to carry your stakeholders along because you need to also give them some information. Then you discover that some of them, they may not even have time for you. For example, maybe Philippa may not really have time. We'll tell you when you want to try and communicate with Philippa will tell, Mr. Solomon, you know what you go do for me? Just drop your message. Drop that message where you want give me. Drop them for the WhatsApp group chat. Later I go carry them. I go check what's in the. Then there may be another stakeholder, maybe Uzoma. Uzoma does not like to go through WhatsApp messages. Uzoma wants you to discuss with her verbally. Uzoma will just say, okay, you know, Mr. Solomon, this is what you will do for me. Around 2 p.m., call me and give me the information verbally. You know me, I don't like to read. Just drop me the information, then I'll be able to take it from there. You understand? So stakeholders are humans, and we must treat them as humans. Yes, we must not use statistics on them. And when you treat people as human, it means you are handling them individually. You are taking into consideration their individual difference, and you are relating with them at the individualistic level, not just to assume one side fit all. You understand? One side does not fit all. So you may also want to do what we call stakeholders mapping. Yes, what we call data representation. It's a big language, but what it simply means is stakeholders classification. An example of mapping is key and non-key stakeholder. Like I rightly mentioned last week, that we are going to be seeing who is a key stakeholder and who is not a key stakeholder. And we are going to be using words like upward, downward, sideward. These are some of the words I will be using in my mapping. You understand? You understand? I will be using mapping, and I'll be using words like influential and non-influential. I'll be using words like I've even used it before now, supportive and resistive. When I was describing Gabriela, Philippa, what kind of a stakeholder is she? Is he supportive? Is he resistive? Then whichever one you want to use. For me, my first mapping I want to use is key stakeholders and non-key stakeholders. Maybe the next mapping I want to probably use is internal and external. It can be as just just the way it works for you. You understand as much as you want, but just know that you can find a mapping or a representation or classification of your stakeholders that work for you. So when you have mapped your stakeholders, try and put them in a family group. When you have them in a family group, it is easier for you to now manage them. Yes, I have this group of stakeholders who are supportive. You map them. It means that these ones, you know how to treat them. In as much as we say, treat stakeholders as human beings, treat them at individualistic level, you can also treat them in a family group because most of them will possess same criteria, same characteristics. You understand? So I have this group of stakeholders who are supportive. Then I put them in one classification. I have this group of stakeholders who are resistive. I put them in one classification. So when I'm relating with them, I can relate with them at a group level. Then meeting is also another medium we use to identify stakeholders. Before you begin to hear language like, hey, we have stakeholders meeting. Look at the statement, stakeholders meeting. We have stakeholders meeting. That is to tell you that in that meeting, everyone that is coming to attend is a what? Is a stakeholder. So it's easier for you to now be able to identify the stakeholders in that meeting. You know that, oh, all the people who did this meeting, they be stakeholders. So you understand? So it becomes an avenue for you to know who your stakeholders are in that meeting that you are just going to have. Then, of course, these are the classification model you can use for your small project or a simple relationship between stakeholders and projects or within the stakeholders and community itself. If you look at it, you see level of authority, power. If you look at the second one, level of concern about the project, that is the outcome, which means interest, ability to influence the outcome of the project, ability to cause change to the project planning and execution. Now let's look at it. Yes, let's do a simple exercise now. Yes, let's do a simple exercise. I hope I came with my mouse. Oh. All right, yes. So let's do a simple exercise. Everybody, please look at your screen. Let me use my pointer so that we can understand what I want to do. Yes. So let's look at it. Yes. I hope we can all see the screen. Yes. So this is, I'm sure you can see my laser pointer. Can we all see my laser pointer? You can use the chat box. Can you see my laser pointer? Can you see my laser pointer on the screen? Please use the chat box so that I can be sure.
Yes, we can.
All right, beautiful. So now, before I begin to explain this, let me just quickly take you through. Talking about classification of stakeholders, this representation of mapping, this one we are using, data representation, power grids, slide, interest grid. Yes, this is a representation of mapping. Yes, the parameters are how powerful they are. And the second thing is, what is their interest level? You understand? Interest has to do with someone who is looking for the outward, for the result of the project. That I have influence on the project may not translate that I'm interested in the outcome. You understand? So maybe I am not really one of the end users, but I am part of the people making decisions for the projects. So when you use these two parameters to classify your stakeholders, you are going to have a stakeholders in 4 family group. And this 4 family group is keep satisfied, manage closely, monitor, and of course, keep informed. So when you look at your screen, you will see the y-axis. This is the y-axis, this one here. This is the y-axis, this one you're seeing. Let me see if I can take a pen. This is the y-axis. Sorry about my writing. It's just for you to know what I'm talking about. So this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. You understand? Later on, I'll clean this. So this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. Now, let me pick my pointer. So if you can see, this side is the y-axis. Some of us that did little math. This is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. You understand? Now, the y-axis represents power, which is this. The y-axis represents power, which is this. That's what the y-axis represents. Then the x-axis represents what? What does it represent? Represents interest. You understand? Now, on the y-axis, that we have power, if you look at it, you will see low. Low means 0. Then you will see high. High means 10. That's what it means. I think I need to clean this. Let me erase this so that I can just use the pointer to explain it. Yes, so that we can have a very clean slide. Now that we know this, now let me just use my pointer. So this is the this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. Now, the y-axis, if you look at it, below you will see low, and above you will see high. Low means 0, high means 10. Then now let's come to the x-axis. The x-axis means interest. Now low means 0, and the high means 10. Is there anybody that doesn't understand what I just explained? Anybody? We are doing stakeholders mapping. Is there anybody that doesn't understand? So now that we have been able to establish what the power is, and we have also been able to establish what interest is, and now we want to go to the stakeholders. So stakeholder that has high power and also has high interests. If we plot that graph, the stakeholder has high power and it has high interest. If we plot the graph, we'll meet it somewhere here. We'll meet here. Manage closely. You understand? Manage closely. When you plot the graph, this is where you meet it. Manage closely. Now, this type of stakeholder is actually your sponsor. If you look at it, the sponsor has high power. The sponsor also have high interest. These are your sponsor, or this is the kind of stakeholder that you need to communicate every now and then with. So you want to communicate the good, you want to communicate the bad, you want to communicate the ugly. You understand? Because this stakeholder you are seeing has your interest. He wants you to succeed. You understand? They say where a man's treasure is, that is where his heart will be. So he wants your project to succeed. He wants you as a project manager to succeed in this your project. So they have high interest because they have invested into the project, and they have high power because they are the sponsor of the project. So what is your attitude towards this kind of sponsor? You want to manage them closely. That's what it means. You manage them closely. There are something, if something goes bad in your project, you communicate. If something goes good in your project, you communicate. Don't hide anything from this kind of people. Stakeholders that have high interest and high power, please don't hide anything from them. You understand? They want you to succeed. No hide anything. Say, if Oga find and I go shout, it is better for Oga to shout now than for Oga to come and discover mistake before. You understand? After maybe you people have gone far. So this kind of stakeholder is praying for you. This kind of stakeholder wants you to succeed. So what do you need to do? You need to manage them closely. So we have another group of stakeholders with classification. Their power is also high. They have high power, but their interest is low. Now, when you plot this graph, they have high power and they have low interest. You will meet that thing here. Your graph will take you to this point that you should keep them satisfied. Now, keeping them satisfied, they have this attitude that may deceive you, that they are not too important, but be careful with them. This kind of people, they can pick up a phone call and call the sponsor and say, this boy where you they use as project manager, say, I don't know what thing they do. And once they call the sponsor may listen to them. And before you know, they have kicked you out of the project. So look out for stakeholders who have high interest and high power. They have high power, but their interest is low. Please keep them what? Keep them satisfied. You understand? Maybe you want to get something from the king. If you want to get something from the king, you go through the queen, no be so? Yes, you go through the queen. So this kind of stakeholder that has high power, if they want to get something from the sponsor, you know what they do? So they will just go to the sponsor straight up. Now that you know that this kind of stakeholder has high power and you want to get something from the sponsor, you go through them. It is very, very important. You understand? My point is, at every point in time, look for people who are influential in your projects and walk up to them. They are going to make work easy for you. You understand? Please, as you go in career, you must learn diplomacy. Yes, that's a beautiful name we call it in workplace, diplomacy. You must learn it. So this is how you need to keep that our guy that has high power. You need to keep him what? Satisfied. When we have another stakeholder who has high interest but low power. Their interest is very high, but their power is low. Yes, this kind of stakeholder are maybe the end users, those who are going to benefit from the project. Now, let's say, for example, we are carrying out a project in an estate, and one of the features that we have told them that in this our estate is that by the time we finish, we are going to mount a central gas system. Yes, which will be connected to every household, to their kitchen. So you have to use that central gas to make your food. Then at the end of the day, at the end of every month, we are going to charge you maybe 4,200. That's what you are going to pay every month. So if you like, cook party jollof. If you like, cook the whole, cook ofen salad, cook any kinds of soup. If you like do party at the end of the month, now 4,200, that will go charge you. So this kind of stakeholder, what do you think their interest will be? They want to know when you are going to finish this project. They want to know when they can come in so that they can begin to enjoy that features that you have mentioned. You understand? So this kind of stakeholders, what do you need to do? When you plot the graph, they have low power, but they have high interest. What do you need to do? You need to keep them informed, because they are anticipating for when that project is going to end so that they can benefit. So they are more like the beneficiaries. They are the residents. You understand? So yes, as a project is ongoing, their interest is always high because they derive joy in the outcome. You understand? They may not always be at your round table when you people are having stakeholders meeting. You go to find them if you don't see them, because they don't have power, because their power is low, but they have high interest. They just need information. Just give us information. How far? That one our gas when I say when I want fix it. When I don't bring the cylinder when I go take mount. You understand? That's their interest. That's what they want to know. Then we have stakeholders who have low interest in power, low interest. Then when it comes to power, they also have low power. They don't have power at all. They have low interest. They have low power. These are the kind of stakeholders that they can shout, they can back, but they cannot bite. You understand? They will shout to do all the thing they want to do, but scream, they're not going to do. All of this type of stakeholders. What do you need to do, guys? What do we need to do with these stakeholders? They have low power and they have low interest. What do we need to do? Use the chat box. What do we need to do? Yes, what do we need to do? Yes, stakeholders that have low power and low interest. What do we need to do? What do we need to do about them? Use the chat box. What do we need to do about them? I'm waiting in the chat box. What do we need to do about them? What do we need to do about them? What do we need to do about them? All right. Remember, this is the way I take my attendance. So it is your participation in the class that I use to take my attendance. Somebody's mic is coming up. Please, can you do us a favor by keeping it muted? I can override it from here, but I just need you to be in charge of your device. Yes. So this is how I take my attendance. Yeah. They have low interest. They have low power. Yes, their power is zero. Their interest is zero. What do we need to do about this kind of stakeholders? What do we need to do about them? What do we need to do about this kind of stakeholders? What do we need to do about them? Okay, so I've gotten response from Elona. I've gotten response from Gabriela. I've gotten response from Uzoma. I've gotten response from Mary. I've gotten response from Lawan. I've gotten response from Philippa. So that is just 6 persons who are in class. I've taken my attendance. Just six of them in class. I've taken my attendance. You understand? So we say, what is the question? Stakeholder who has low power and low interest, what do we need to do when we plot the graph? That's the question that we ask. So some of you who have not answered, you can go ahead and give us your answer. Then we have the stakeholders cube. And these are other classification. By the time you put all of this, you find out that you have eight different groups. Yes, you understand. 8 different groups that you can now operate with. At the end of the day, you have stakeholders information. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of identifying stakeholders, you have stakeholders information. You have how you can access them and give them information. You have a stakeholders register where you can identify the information which you organize their name and all of that. Then the assessment, which means what is their major specification. You understand. You also be able to put them in mapping. We have used the word internal, we have used the word external, we have used influential, we have used upward, we have used downward, we have used different classification for us to identify our stakeholders. And when you go ahead and look at, you will see a table. Usually most we call it stakeholders registry in a matrix. Whenever you hear matrix, what it means, another word for matrix is table. You understand? So this is the stakeholders matrix table. You can put it in any form that you like, that you can capture your stakeholders and mapping. So this is where our project management framework, identifying of develop charter and of course identify stakeholders. This is where the framework stops. So we'll be going into our planning right now. I've published the planning on our group. So I believe we have that material. I think is only in this group. I've not published it in one of our risk response groups. So let me just quickly publish it. Planning. Please go to the group. You will see your planning manual. Open it because that's where we are switching to now. Yes, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Hello, sir. Yes, I have a question.
Okay. Oh, all right. Go ahead.
Like those people who have low power and low interest.
Yes.
Like if I am a supervisor in a construction company, and
Yes.
such kind of people are like level or iron benders or like electrician, or are they the low interest and low power people?
Okay. So like I rightly mentioned, the okay, I think we mentioned with high interest and now people who have who we can classify as those who have low power and low interest, like you rightly mentioned, are people who are in the project, uh, who may also be working for the project. You understand? Yes. People who have low power are people who do not even have anything to lose, whether the work continues or the work does not continue. Yes. But when it comes to key stakeholders and non-key stakeholders, we also classify the workers as key stakeholders because they have one or two things they are doing. Imagine somebody who is sweeping our office every now and then. They are sweeping our office. It means that the day we don't see them, our office space and environment would be dirty. You understand? Yes. In as much as they have low power and low interest, but we still identify them as stakeholders. So yes, those who are working for us like labor, yes, they are. We can refer to them as stakeholders with low interest and low power. I don't know if I answer your question.
Yes, sir. Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
Yes. Can we see our screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so let's begin. Our people say, if you fail to plan, then you have plans to fail, or you have plans to fail. It means that not planning at all is a plan to fail. Never you do things you don't plan for. It requires discipline. Yes, I'm not speaking from area of strength. It is also something I'm also learning to do. You understand? Because when we plan, it makes our life organized, especially if we can plan towards our expenditure. Very, very important. I saw a video on Instagram one time where a celebrity was asked, and they asked him, who should pay for the dates? When we go out for a date, who should pay for it? And he said, whoever initiated the date should pay for it. So just like the sponsor who initiated the project should do what? Should pay for it. And I kind of agree, because for you to initiate an idea, you must plan for it. So when you plan, it helps you to achieve more. So it is important for you to also document your plan. Very, very important for you to do what? Document your plan, so that you can be able to know what you have achieved. And it is very, very important that you put them in writing, because there's every possibility that you may forget. But when you write it down, there is a reference point you can always go back to. There is something to refer to. So plan is a blueprint. Blueprint means it is written down. How? A blueprint of how your project is going to be executed. A blueprint of how your project is going to be monitored and controlled. A blueprint of how your project will be closed. Did you notice these three things? Blueprint of how your project is going to be executed, blueprint of how your project is going to be monitored and controlled, blueprint about how your project is going to close. You notice? So if you have a very good plan, you have a good expo for executing your projects. Let me relate an experience. Have you ever gone into an exam hall with a good expo before? Yes. Please, you can unmute your mic. Have you ever gone into an exam hall with a good expo? A good expo here means that as you were reading for your exam, the lecturer now give you area of concentration. He now told you, look, oh, see, focus on these areas. This is where question is going to come out from. So immediately you carry your handouts, you begin to now focus on those areas that he has mentioned. Now, I had a similar experience, although it was not the lecturer that gave us this area. So the lecturer, I think it was water supply. I studied architecture, so we did a lot of borrowed course. I think this course was water supply. Yes, water supply, that was the course. And the man, when it comes to the class, the lecturing is confusing. His handouts is confusing. Anything about him is confusing. So But you just need to be in the class. You understand? At the end of the day, we will tell you, read, oh, read, oh, read, oh. Otherwise, you will fail. That's what we tell you. So when we wrote his first test, test 1, when we wrote that test, he said, we are only going to write 1 test. And that test is over 30. When we wrote that test, people were scoring 1, 2, 3, over 30. An exam is approaching, and there was a lot of, we were all worried. Because if we score 2, 3 over 30, what will remain now? 70 score. Now you remain for exam. And how are you going to be sure that you are going to get to 65 and all of that? So somehow, the man now went to a cyber cafe. They typed in the question there, and they printed it and they gave it to him. Unfortunately, the cyber cafe that he went to, the person who owns the cyber cafe knows one of our friends in our department, knows one of our classmates. He now called him and said, oh boy, come and see something. So the guy went and say, look, this man I teach you now. I say, yes. Oh, see question will come print to, but not tell anybody, say I give you. So that's how the guy took the question paper. A night before the exam, the guy just sent just few people. He sent the exam question to few people, and I happened to be among them. So what happened? We look at the question. My brothers and sisters, question number 1 has 8 subsidiary questions, meaning that question number 1 asks question number 1A, question number 1A, question number 1A, question number 1A, 8. And question number 1 is compulsory. So that's how we now begin to solve it. We solve it. We were able to jot out all the answers. Then we practice and cram and learn all we need to learn. So we went for the exam hall. Immediately we got into the exam. Hold and behold, it was the same question. Hey! If you see the way boys, they are happy. Those that saw it, they were very happy. They were very excited. That's how we enter. That's how we begin the bamboozle. Question number 1 that has 8 questions. Before you know, under 30 minutes, some people don't finish. Then the man was rushing from the exam room, from his office to come and see. Make I see. Say, yes, I've set a very tough question. But immediately he came. He saw that some people were outside. He said, why are you outside? He said, they are done. They have submitted. He said, And that was it. So it means that expo that we had is a good expo. So it means we're able to use that our expo for a very good thing. But have you ever done a bad expo before? Yes, a bad expo. Oh, the paper don't leak. You don't go practice them. But when you enter exam hall, the questions are different. When things like this happen, will be maybe one of the examiner, the boy who is working with the examiner has leaked the question. And overnight, he discovered that, oh, my question has leaked. And overnight, he changed the question. You understand? We had a similar situation like that. We went into the hall thinking that we have done a good expo. When we enter inside hall, we see question paper where they're different. So after 1 hour, somebody called the invigilator and say, okay, let's say this question will be our own. This one of another department. You understand? So that's a bad expo. What's the point of this whole story? When you have a good expo, you'll be able to do what? You'll be able to execute your project, you'll be able to monitor it, and you'll be able to do what? You'll be able to close that project. So good expo will give you a good result. Bad expo will do what? Will give you a terrible result. So when you develop a project, when you develop a project management, you will come up with your project management plan. Now, a project document of your plan, when you pick up that document, you'll be able to say, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do in this project. You will have all of the works you are going to carry out in that project. All of the works that you are going to carry out in that project, you'll be able to plan it. You understand? So when you develop a project management plan. So when you develop a project management plan, what are you going to see in that your project? What works are you going to carry out? These are the works that you are going to carry out. You are going to be collecting requirements. You are going to define scope. Define scope means what? Remember, we said when we say define, it is not the academic form of define. No, it is to list. So you define scope, you create WBS. Last week we said WBS means work breakdown structure. That's what it means. Then you define activities. That means you list out your activities, you sequence your activities, you estimate your activity resources, you estimate activity duration, you develop a schedule. Then you estimate costs, you determine budget, you plan communication management, you identify risk, you perform qualitative and quantitative analysis, risk analysis, you plan risk response, you plan procurement. So these are what you need to do. So how do you go about developing your project charter? What do you need to develop your project plan rather? What do you need to develop your project plan? One of the things you need is the project charter. I need the charter because it contains some information that will help me in my planning. For example, the charter tells me what the budget for this project is. In planning, so when I'm planning, how am I going to distribute this money across all of the activities in that my project? At least I've been able to see what the charter says. The charter also helps me to tell me the duration of the project. Is my project for 6 months? How is it going to be like? So I plan, since I now have all of the works that I will carry out in my planning, I can now distribute, if let's say my project is going to last 6 months, I can now distribute that 6 months across all of the activities in my project. The charter also contains some information that will help you to plan your project. You understand? So it's a high level documentation. Then how are we going to develop our project management plan? Expert judgment. Our friend is here again, expert judgment. So when I'm done with my plan, what am I supposed to do? I will go to someone who already knows this thing. I will go to Philippa and ask her, look at this, my plan. Oh, Ma, help me check. Is there something that is missing so that I can get it right? Who is she? Who is Philippa to me? Philippa is somebody who has managed similar projects before. You understand? And I can meet her. So if I meet her and she's helping me, it does not translate that she's doing my work for me. No, that's not what it translates to. What it means is that I am just getting information that will help me to carry out my work. Now, how do you, the next thing you also want to see is brainstorming. Then how do you brainstorm? How do you gather information? You gather information through brainstorming. Yes, group of us, we can come together. Please. So how do you gather data? You might be privileged to know your team members of your project. You can involve them during this period. Yes. You can involve them, yes, during the period, so that you can also brainstorm together. There is this project, Pi Network project, that has been ongoing. There are people who, when you go to the app, you will see where one of the application is brainstorming. You understand? So they also allow developers to come in and they will brainstorm. They'll give them ideas. You understand? So there's a section for group of people who will just come in and brainstorm. You understand? Where they can either propose a project. You can also use specific group to get some specific information. For example, risk. Maybe as you are trying to find out in this project, when you do, what will be the risk self? You just need to call those risk experts. You understand? You call the risk expert. Maybe you know some guys that are risk experts. You just call them. Alpha, see the project when I get to. What will be the risk for this project? And that meeting is called focus group meeting, because the focus is for you guys to identify risk. You understand? I can also just ask people questions and they give me answers, especially when it has to do with for me to commercialize it. I just ask anyone, how do I make a goosey soup? If I just ask you guys now, how do I make a goosey soup? If I give everybody an opportunity, they will tell us different ways that they are going to use in making a goosey soup. You understand? Almost everybody here will be able to give us the ingredients for us to make egusi soup. Maybe except for the guys, maybe like Lawan now, maybe like Jog. If I ask two of them now, how far now? Mo we run egusi soup. If you tell you say they no. But I think our ladies in the house will be able to give us different versions. Some will tell you fry the egusi, some will tell you boil the egusi, and all of that. So when it comes to brainstorming, you need to find out those people who may be experts in some areas. Then you can brainstorm together. You understand? Now, to activate expert judgment or data gathering, you are working with people, and anytime you are working with people, one of the techniques you can also deploy in your team is the interpersonal skill. Those are skills that requires you to work with people in order for you to get solutions. Very, very important. You understand? How far we go in life? Okay, it seems like a lot of people are not back to this meeting. Let me try and see. Right, let me go to the risk group. Let me go to the risk group. Risk. Okay, I think I didn't share the material. So those people in. All right, so I believe everybody is, they are now beginning to come back. Yes. Aha. How far we go in life is a function of people that we know. It does not take God away from the equation. I am in planning your project, working with people, there may be conflicting opinions of view. If I ask you guys, how do I make puff? Somebody may say, get flour, get palm oil, and get Indomie seasoning. If somebody says that, a lot of people will look at him. Are you sure you are okay? But somebody is telling you no, it should be granite oil. So that's a conflicting opinion. Those are conflicting views. So you are planning about a cover for this bottle of water, for example, the one I just got. If you are planning for it, one person is saying make the cover blue, another person is saying no, make the cover black. And in Nigeria, we read meanings into things. Imagine you go and buy bottled water and you are seeing a black cover, you are seeing a black container. You will read meaning into it. You will say, like, say my village people don't find me rich here. You understand? While brainstorming, another person may say, okay, let us use blue or let's use sky blue. You understand? So those are conflicting opinions. And at the end of the day, you need to make a decision. That's the point where you need to bring your conflict management skill. You understand? So sometimes you achieve your plan by meeting other people, how you manage meetings as well, how you facilitate discussion. Some of us, when we begin facilitation of discussion, we can digress. We dey discuss project management plan now, how we go take develop our project management plan. Then you just digress to begin to discuss Man U Chelsea. Begin to discuss, you go say that Man U coach, you need to go, or that Madrid coach, you need to go. You have digressed. Before you know, you have spent 30 minutes discussing Man U. You will now come back and say, hey, where will we even stop, sir? You understand? So your ability to lead discussion from beginning to the end is something that you also must learn. You understand? Be good. So meeting also gives us an overall picture of how our project is going to be. So meeting is very necessary to ensure that we are able to develop and unify and agree on the project management plan, how it's going to run. You understand? Now, you will see segment of your plan. We have subsidiary plan, and this subsidiary plan, please, they have to be baseline. They have to be what? They have to be baseline. Please, never you go on to carry out your plan without your project being baseline, without your project management plan being baseline. The word baseline here means approved. Do not execute your plan till it is approved. Ideally, when you come up with your plan, the sponsor is expected to go through the plan segment by segment. He will be going through it to approve it. You understand? In reality, there are 3 plans that needs to be approved for execution. 3 plans. The first one, the sponsor must look at the place where you listed out all the works that is to be carried out in the project. And when that is approved, we call it scope baseline. Scope baseline. We said scope means works. Now you have listed out all of the works you are going to do. Now in all of the works you are going to do, it must be baseline. I will call it scope baseline. So it means the sponsor must approve it. Then the next one is where you have shown the time and the duration you will spend on the project. For example, you say 6 months is what you want to spend on the project, or 6 months has been given. That is your schedule baseline. That's your schedule baseline. Then the third one, the sponsor must also approve where you have shown how much you are going to spend on the project. That is cost baseline. You understand? So these 3 things must be baseline before you do what? Before you start to execute. Now, let us begin the process properly. When does planning start? When does planning start? Planning starts with collection of requirements. Collect requirements. So with the sponsor or the stakeholders to know, what do you need to do? You need to sit with them. You need to sit with the stakeholder. You need to sit with the sponsor. And you begin to ask. Let's say the stakeholder is EcoBasi. So now, I've gone to EcoBasi. I'm sitting with EcoBasi. Let's say EcoBasi wants to build a swimming pool in a compound. Then I go to EcoBasi and I ask, how far, madam? Yes, you want me to carry out a project of swimming pool for you, right? Please tell me, what is the depth? What depth are you looking at? Do you want the depth of the swimming pool? Do you want it to be 1.6 meter? Do you want it to be 2 meter? The shallow part, what is the depth you want? The deep part, what is the depth you want? Inside the swimming pool, do you want lightning bulb so that the lighting can be shining inside the water? What type of tiles will you want? Do you want blue tiles? Do you want white tiles? Do you want brown tiles? You understand? Now, what type of schema do you want? The schema that cleans the pool. What type of schema do you want? Look at the ones I want to propose to you. You understand? What are you doing? What am I doing with EcoBasi? I am doing what? I am collecting the requirements. EcoBasi is giving me what she wants. She's telling me at the end of the day, this is what I want. So I'm doing what? I am collecting requirements. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, no matter how good you are when it comes to managing projects, no matter how experienced you are when it comes to managing projects, you cannot carry out projects if the sponsor has not told you what he wants. You cannot do what? You cannot carry out any activity if the sponsor has not told you what he wants. So the first thing that you must do in every project is for you to collect requirements, and you need to do this with the sponsor. And when you are doing that, that process is called collection of requirements. Collecting requirements is not left for you alone. You understand? You can also use your team members to also collect requirements. So collecting requirements is not just for you to make deliverables. Yes, what it means is at the end of the day, what will they expect from you? What are we expecting from you? That's what it means for you to collect requirements. So sit with the sponsor, ask him or her, what do you need? And the sponsor will be able to tell you all of that. Now, once you have done this, you have performed the process called collecting of requirements. And of course, how do we go and collect requirements? Expert judgment, which is what I've just explained. Brainstorming is also another way of collecting requirements. Benchmarking is also another means of collecting requirements. Let me quickly explain this benchmarking. Some of us who like to watch football, you will find out that when they field in 11 players into the square box or into the rectangle box for them to play for 90 minutes, there are other people who are sitting on the bench. And these other people who are sitting on the bench, some of them also play the same role that some people who are already in the rectangular box are playing. Then they will be able to watch from the bench. So let's imagine that the manager now decides to say, let me substitute a midfielder. Then he's bringing in a new midfielder. You will see the manager will be telling him, the new midfielder, say, see, look, oh, remember what this person in the pitch was doing before. So when you go out, go there now, continue with this, then do this one as extra. That's like benchmarking. That's what it means for you to benchmark. Now, there are products that you will have in the market. For example, maybe I have a tape and I also want to produce a tape. Then I will go and I will benchmark. Now, note, you can only benchmark a project or a product that is not enjoying a patent right. Yes, if the product is not enjoying a patent right, you can benchmark. But if it is enjoying a patent right, you cannot benchmark. Patent here means it is licensed by government. You understand? It is what? Licensed by government. Then, of course, prototypes is also another method of collecting requirements. Prototypes. And architects do this a lot. When you walk up to an architect and say, oh, see, I need a 3-bedroom bungalow, or I need a suspended duplex. I need a duplex, 4-bedroom duplex. They will just go into their portfolio, what we call portfolio. When you go into the portfolio, they'll not ask you, is this something like you, this is the kind of thing you are looking for? They'll say yes, yes, yes. From there, they can now begin to build on it. So when it comes to expert judgment, you can use questionnaire, you can do a survey, Google survey. You must also seek opinions, especially when it has to do with commercial. You must seek opinion because there are competitors. Very, very important. You understand? Yes. So you need to do all of these things. And one of the things you also need to do is for you to enhance your digital skill. One of those digital hot skills right now is data analysis, and I believe almost every one of us here is taking on that data analysis class. Very, very important. You also need to do what we call business analysis. You can use data analysis to do that. That's one of the hot cake right now. Then, of course, like I mentioned, brainstorming, where you benchmark. You have explained brainstorming. Then you go to benchmark. You can look at a product. For example, some of us who are here in Makodi, you know Aquatrust table water, you know Aquafina, you know Nesto. You understand? So if you want to produce your own bottled water, you can use all of these products that I've mentioned as a benchmarking. You understand? Benchmark will work for you so that you can know what the market is expecting. You understand? Like I said, before you benchmark, check to be sure that that product is not enjoying a patent right. If it's enjoying a patent right, you cannot benchmark. So in collecting data requirements, you do document analysis. If there is any conflicting specification, you go to the sponsor and ask, how far this specification where you talk, you be like say that they conflict. You say we should build you a car that can fly. You understand? In Lagos, there is so many traffic. You say, let us build a car that can fly. Some people are saying, let it have wings. Some are saying, no, let it not have wings, because the reason why we are even building a car that can fly is because we want to discongest the hold up. And now, if you say we should put a wing, it means that when it also go up, it will take a lot of spaces. You understand? Those are conflicting opinion. So once you have that in your meetings, in your brainstorming meetings, you need to come out and make a decision. And how do you go about making decision when it comes to things like this? One, You involve everybody to make suggestion. You let one person make decision. You understand? So those are the possible methods you could use. We call it autocratic method decision if one person makes a decision. And when everybody makes a decision, we call it democratic. That is, we put it in voting, where we say majority carries the vote. You understand? So that's what we do when it comes to benchmarking. Like the prototype I've mentioned, architect will just go, they have portfolio, they'll just bring it out for you. You go ahead and they will show you the type of buildings that they have. They'll show you the type of plans they have. Then from there, they can now begin to work on it. We call it simulation. You understand? So that's how we go ahead to collect requirements. Define scope is also another planning process for us. The word define means to list out. I keep saying it. Define means list it out. They are giving you specification. Can you write out all the works you will do in that specification that they have given you? You understand? What can we do to achieve the first specification? I write down the works, all the works. I write down the scope. Not in the order of execution. No, I just want to list them out. You understand? Simply ask yourself, what are the works I'm going to do in this specification? So if there are 30 specifications, it means you must write down all of the works you are going to do in each of the specifications. So to define scope means to list out the works that will be done in that project. What I've just done is for me to do is alternative analysis. I took out the specification document, I took out the requirement document, then I list my specification document, and I say I have what? I have started. Then I will begin to ask questions. I beg, this one, for this specification, what will be the work when I go do for here? What work am I going to do for here? Let's say we have a project and they told us a ceiling fan. The specification is that let the ceiling fan rotate 1,000 times per minute. Let the ceiling fan do what? Rotate 1,000 times per minute. Now you begin to ask yourself, what do I need to do for this motor of the fan to rotate 1,000 times per minute? And now, that 1,000 times per minute is the spec. That's the specification. So what will be the work when I go do for me to be able to achieve that 1,000 times per minute? Then I will come begin to list all the works for me to achieve them. You understand? So which techniques am I going to use to list them out? Which techniques I will use in listing them out? I will use expert judgment again. Remember last week we said some of these techniques and tools will be repeatedly, you'll be seeing them in each processes. So most time when we see them, we just jump it. Most of us already know what expert judgment is. It means that we need to go and ask someone, we need to go and seek opinion from somebody who has done such a project before, or somebody who is knowledgeable. We need to go and seek opinion. Then the next thing we want to do is product analysis. Yes, product analysis. That fan where they rotate 1,000 times per minute, we should just carry one like that. We carry an existing fan where they rotate 1,000 times per minute. Then we begin to do what? We begin to do product analysis. Then we begin to dismantle it. You understand? We pick it up. We disconfigure the components. We tear it into different components. What are the works? So when you don't tear all of the works within inside the motor, you can begin to say, okay, it means I need to provide. Let's say, for example, it's a tape. You now say, okay, I need to provide something that looks like a metal sheet that we have a size of maybe 2 inch, then with a length of 5 meters or 10 meters. Then what it means is that I need to produce a rubber that can cover the tape metal. Then what it means is that I need to also provide a spring inside the tape. You understand? I'm using tape as a product analysis now instead of the fan. Then inside the tape, okay, there will be where we can hang the tape. There will be a hanger, so I need to produce that, and there will be a process where I need to screw in the nut so that the tape can be able to function well. Okay, I will need to also put in another hanger that I can hold on to. All of these things I'm doing is what? I have decomposed the tape, the measuring tape. I've decomposed it, and I'm now beginning to see all of the works I'm going to do for me to achieve that tape. So it is the same thing with the fan that is going to rotate 1,000 times. You will disconfigure it, you will find out what are the works I'm going to do. When you do this, we call it product analysis. Is there any question so far? Use the chat box. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? All right. So at the end of the day, you define the scope, you will get this project scope statement. So at the end of the day, you will have a document containing all the specifications and the corresponding works that you are going to be carrying out. So when I say, let me see your statements, what I'm asking is, let me see the list of the works you are going to do in this project. There might be some updates. Then you can just go back to your scope statement and do what and update it, especially when it comes to the charter, because all of this information you also see it in the charter. What do you do when it comes to planning? What do you have in mind when it comes to planning? What it means is that you have to list out all of the works that will be done in your project, which is scope statement. List out all the works what I will do for this project. And when you list them out, that document when you list it out, that document where you write it out is called scope statement. So one thing that will now run in your mind is, so what do I do? What do I expect? What am I expected to do in carrying out this planning, in carrying out this works, in arranging this work? Now, the best thing for you to do when you have listed out all of your works is for you to arrange them in phases. Since I have listed the work, what can I do with the project work now? I need to arrange it and distribute it across all the phases. Now, we have said it before. The best way for you to manage projects is for you to put them in phases. And that's what we call project scope statement. Now, let's look at it proper. So at the end of the day, the scope statement should contain all of this information: product scope description, product acceptance criteria, product deliverables, project exclusion. That's what your project scope statement should contain. And these are it which you can actually go through at your own leisure. Remember, it is the same thing that is repeating. Then what is another thing that we need to do when we are planning our projects? You understand? Now, look at what we have done. We have been able to collect requirements. You understand? That was the first thing we did. We have been able to do what? Collect requirements. When we start with the sponsor, tell us, for this swimming pool, how do you need it? Secondly, we have been able to come up with scope statements. Scope statement means all of the works that we will do. We use an example of ceiling fan and a measuring tape. We have been able to decompose, do product analysis. We have been able to see all of the works we are going to do in a project. Now, the next thing that we want to do now is for us to create work breakdown structure, what we call WBS. Now, I have listed all the works I'm going to do. I have collected requirements. Now, I need to arrange and distribute the works in phases, how they will be carried out. And that's what we call WBS. WBS is your dictionary project for your, what we call your dictionary for projects. Now, let's look at it. Creating a work breakdown structure, what does it really mean? It means breaking down the project to phases and all of the works under each phase and arrange them under that phase. You understand? Now, that's what it means. Now, how are you going to carry out work breakdown structure? The same thing is coming: experts, judgment, and of course, decomposing. But then, let's look at this. When we say decomposition, what are we decomposing? We want to decompose the project into phases and break down the phases into works. And that is what will happen. Now, let's look at this project, for example. Let's look at this project. Listen to this. When you list out the works of your project, when you define scope, don't approach the sponsor for him to approve it yet. You understand? You only approach your sponsor to show your sponsor the project work when you have created a work breakdown structure. if you don't get work breakdown structure, even though you don't collect requirements, even though you don't identify the work, which is scope, you have defined scope. Even if you have done this, if you have not done work breakdown structure, please, you cannot approach the sponsor in your project. No go meet the sponsor, make you approve anything. But that does not mean that it is until you finish all the planning that you go and meet the sponsor. No, we get approval as plan is going on. So when you don't finish phase 1, for example, you don't do everything, you feel meet the sponsor will approve them for you. You understand? So you have confirmed that it is okay. Good morning, welcome. Yes, you have confirmed that it's okay. There is nothing missing in your project work. There's nothing missing in the list of your scope. You have collected requirements. These two things, you have also seen your scope statement. You have been able to see that there is nothing missing. Then you can go ahead and approach the sponsor. Now, when you approach the sponsor, let's look at when you approach the sponsor, what are the 3 documents that you need to go to your sponsor? 1, you have collected requirements, you go with that document. You have also been able to define scope. That means you have listed out all of the works you are going to carry out. Then the next thing you are going to go with is your work breakdown structure, WBS. Then after WBS, you will now go with your work breakdown structure dictionary. We are going to explain that. Now let's look at this project. Yes. Let's look at this project. Yes. This project you are seeing, please, what is the name of this project? Let's get engaged. What is the name of this project? Remember, only 6 people have taken attendance before now. Yes. Look at your screen. What is this project? Yes, beautiful. Look at your screen, please. What is this project? Have you seen the manual? Okay, I publish it in the group. You see. What is the name of this project? Beautiful. When you look at this diagram, it's like a flow chart, what we call organogram. Some of us know it. A hierarchical chart of how organization operates. That's one of the things you will see. Now, a couple has called you and given you some requirements. Now, this is a wedding project, like you have rightly mentioned. The couple has called you that, look, these are the things we need. You have been able to collect requirements from the couple. The couple has given you requirements. Now, I will now break down my project into phases. Now that we have a wedding project, please, can you identify the phases in this project? Yes, 53, page 53. Can you identify the phases in this project? Can you identify it? Because, yes, in each project, you can have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. So in this particular project, can you identify the phases? Let's identify the phases. What is a phase? A phase is a collection of related work that gives you the major results in a project. A phase is a collection of related works that gives you the major results in a project. Have you seen it? Okay, yes, that's where we are. A phase is a collection of related works that will give you a major result in your project. Beautiful. You guys have been able to identify that there are 3 phases in this project. If you look at it, there are 3 phases, right? Yes. Phase 1 is saying invitation. Phase 2, full. Phase 3, bridal or bridal shower, or how you people want to put it. The ladies in the house, you people know what we are talking about. You understand? So what am I actually doing? I am now beginning to break down the works. You understand? Distributing them into phases and arranging them on how the work is going to be. So now that I know the phase, I will carry my scope statement, and I will begin to find which work am I supposed to do under phase 1. You list all the works you are supposed to do under phase 1. I will go ahead, I will check, carry my scope statement, project scope statement again. Which work am I supposed to do under phase 2? I will list out all the works that I need to do under phase 2. So what you are simply doing is translating your statement of work into different phases where this work will what? Will happen. But how are you doing it? You are doing it in a diagrammic form. You are doing it just the way you are seeing it on your screen. So that when you put your eyes at a glance, you can be able to tell that, okay, all the works for this phase complete. You can also tell, if like say something they miss. So you know, it is easy for you to spot the difference when it's an image. It's easy for you. When you see an image, maybe 1 to 20, there is an image. You arrange it. By the time you look at it, there's maybe 15, number 15 is missing. There's high tendency that you quickly spot it. You understand? I think there's a game, spot the difference, that you people usually play, and it has to be in a diagram. You can easily just spot the difference. So when you have it in a diagrammic form, you'll be able to spot any work that is missing in your project. So the next thing you want to do when you have been able to list out all the works is for you to assign an account to each element in your work breakdown structure. If you don't want to call it an account, you just want to call it maybe number, it can also be a 0.0. You understand? This will help you to identify which work belongs to which phase. So it will help you to know whether there is any missing work. So for example, if I see a work missing in 3.3, let's say a work in 3.3 is not done. Please, which phase of the project is that? Which phase of the project is that? Is that? Let's say 3.3, yes. Choose bouquet. Let's say choose bouquet is missing. Under which phase is that? Under which phase is that? Phase 3, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's phase 3. Yes, thank you very much. So that's under which phase? Phase 3. Now, when you hear you see an account of 8.8, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells you that it is a project phase and work to be done in phase 8. Not so? Yeah. That's what it tells you. You understand? So by assigning an account, you can easily tell which phase this work belongs to. So we call it account identification. But the project itself, what is it bearing? 0.0. Phase 1, 1.0. Phase 2, 2.0. Phase 3, 3.0. You understand? You are getting it. Now, when you go under phase 1, 1.0, you will now list out all of the works you are going to do in phase 1. Then you give it an account. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. You understand? So those are the works in phase 1. So you must account for it. Remember, you have collected requirements. 2, you have defined scope, meaning you have listed out all of your works. What you are doing now is work breakdown structure. You have been able to do it in phases. First of all, you broke it into phases. Then you now begin to identify all of the works under each phases. You understand? So all of these things you have done is work breakdown structure. So the first thing we did was to collect requirements. The second thing we did was to define scope. The third thing we did was for us to arrange the works in phases. If you have done this and you are very sure that nothing is missing, it is easier for you to spot the difference at this point, especially when you do it with an image. Once you have confirmed that there is nothing missing, you can now approach the sponsor with your project scope statement. That is the list of your work, the WBS, and the WBS dictionary. Now, what is WBS dictionary? What does it mean? What does dictionary mean? What does it tell you? What does dictionary tell you? It gives you meaning. It gives you meaning, right? Yes. So what is WBS dictionary? It gives you meaning to all of the works that you have broken down. You understand? For example, if I send this invitation to you now, this invitation is not telling us when this project is going to start. This invitation is not telling us how much we are going to spend in phase 1. This invitation is not telling us the duration we are going to spend in phase 1, right? Good. So it's not giving us the full information. So for us to get the full information, we need WBX dictionary. So WBX dictionary will now be the one telling us, okay, and for invitation, we are expecting so number of guests. So we are printing 50 invitation card. It is in that word breakdown dictionary is now going to tell us, okay, we are going to spend so amount in creating the guest list. It is still in that same word breakdown structure dictionary that is going to tell us, oh, now the number of days we will spend to do guest list be this. So you see, it's giving us the detailed information. It's giving us meaning into our work breakdown structure. You understand? Brief information. You understand? I can now start giving you all of this information. So all the documents where you document all of this brief information is called WBS dictionary. Are we together, guys? It's called WBS dictionary. So if I've gotten all of this, I will now go to the sponsor for approval. Guys, are we seeing how planning is taking shape? Collecting of requirements, define scope, and do what? Work breakdown structure. Please do not proceed to the next thing, not until your project sponsor has approved, meaning he has baseline. Remember, we say baseline is what? Baseline is approved. When your sponsor has approved it, that's what baseline means. You understand? So please do not go into the next planning, not until all of these ones is baseline, because if you go ahead and approve this one and start planning for another one, and you now carry this one to go and meet your sponsor for him to approve, you now begin to tell you, no, now, Mr. Solomon, we tell you now that we are going to spend 6 weeks. This one where you can't put 3 weeks, you know what to do. That means you need to start planning again, including the ones you have already planned that you have not taken. So please always take your document to the sponsor. Go with these 3 documents. Define your list of works, your work breakdown structure, and your work breakdown structure dictionary, so that it can now be approved. Once it's approved, then you can now begin to go ahead. Hey, what is another way for us to create work breakdown structure? Is for us to decompose. Yes, what are you decomposing? You want to decompose all of the works, just like the WPS that we have mentioned. Then the next thing we want to do is for us to define activities. Define what? Activities. We have collected requirements. We have defined scope. We have created work breakdown structure. Now we want to define activities. So far, is there any question? So far, is there any question? So far, is there any question? Any question? Any question? So are we good to go? Just use the thumbs up button if we are good to go, so that we'll discuss define activities. Are we good to go? Thumbs up, thumbs up. All right. Define your activities. What does that mean? List out all your activities, write down all the activities that will happen in the phase of your project. Don't bother to arrange them in the order of execution. You understand? How do I define activities? How do I define activities? Again, our friend, expert judgment. We know what expert judgment is. Go and seek opinion, ask people. You understand? The next one is for us to do what? Is for us to decompose. Now you do that by decomposing. How do you decompose? The word decompose means break down. Remember the wedding invitation that we just looked at, the pictorial diagram. Yes, it's an example of decomposing. So I want to repaint, for example, now, I want to repaint this our office space. I want to repaint this our office space. Please, can you tell me all of the activities that I'm going to do? Repainting is what? What is repainting of this place? What is the repainting? Repainting is what? Repainting, is it collect requirement, define scope, or WBS? Repainting of this my office. Is it collect requirement, define scope, or work breakdown structure? Yes, please use the chat box. Yes, I want to repaint the office space, for example. If I want to repaint it, what is that? Is it scope? Is it work breakdown structure? Is it decomposing? Or is it scope statement? Which one is it? Yes, which one is it? So as to be sure that every one of us is following. So which one is it? Remember, what we are doing now is we want to define activities, not so? Yes, Rabi, you say collect requirement. Okay, we want to define activities. Okay, yes. So my work is to paint this room. That's the work, right? What did we say scope is? What did we say scope is? Scope is work. Whenever you hear scope now the work we will go do. So when we say scope statement, what will be the work we will go do for this project? You understand? That's scope. Scope means work. So when you see something like define scope, we have said it is not the academic style of defining scope. It is for you to list. You list. So now, for me to repaint this room, what is that? No, for me to paint this room, I want to paint this room. That is the work. Yes. So it is, you can find it in scope statement, but it is scope. It is more like you are defining scope. So the works, when we say scope is work. So this room now I want to repaint it, that's the work. That's the work. You understand? That's the work. Now, what thing I go do for the work? So what am I going to do? What are the activities I'm going to do if I want to repaint this office now? What are the activities I'm going to do? Don't think far. Just think about it. What are the activities I'm going to do? Say it. That's where your mind talk. Am I going to take away these chairs? Am I going to remove all these frames? Beautiful. I'm going to remove the curtain. Remove everything. Yes. That's me doing what? I am defining activity. Those are activities you'll take. I'm also going to mark some part where I don't want the paint to show. Those are activities. You understand? So that is how you go about listing your activities. So please, let's always remember. Yes. Clear the space. Thank you very much. Buy paint. Thank you very much. Define scope. Yes, beautiful. You understand? So if I need to paint this office, what are the activities I need to do? Those are the activities I've just listed. I will need to take away the chairs. I will also need to scrape away the old paint if I want to scrape away the old paint. You understand? I will mark the place. Are you seeing the activities I will do under this work? What is the work? What is the work? To paint. Have you seen all of the activities? So that is how you go about decomposing. So decomposing means you are breaking it into small activities. You understand? So you have been able to list. All of these things will happen when you are trying to repaint this room. You understand? So when we say define activities, take each of the works in your project phase and identify the small tasks involved in that work. So like creation of guest list now, are there small work involved? Yes. For example, you now begin to say, you now sit down and be brainstorming. Where do I get my guest list from? For example, the husband says, I need 50 people will come from me. 50 people will come from the wife. So the wife will now begin to do what? Begin to send message, send invitation. Not be so. So those are small works. There are other works of going to print the guest list and give it to maybe to the event planner. So these are our guest lists. Use this one to plan your event. Those are small activities that will happen. You understand? So in project, it is best to manage them in phases because you'll be able to identify all of the activities you will do under each phase. All of the works you'll be able to do under each phase. You understand? So when you identify activities phase by phase, you identify the activities one by one. You move to the next one, you identify, you move to the next one, you identify. You will discover that you're identifying all the entire project once. You understand? We call it rolling wave. You understand? You are rather identifying as you move. We call it rolling wave. You have been able to identify most of the things you are going to do in your project. You can now decide to identify your project phase, doing it alone, or you can use group of people. When you see meeting is also a technique. What it simply means is that you are involving other people to come and take part in your project. Let me just message the facilitator for data analysis to come in by 9:30 so that we can be able to go far in our planning. Remember, we said planning. How many processes are there in planning? How many processes? How many processes are there in planning? How many processes? Use the chat box. How many processes are there in planning? How many processes are there in planning? How many processes are there in planning? Hey, we don't forget. No, Uzama. No. No, this response I'm getting. No. Planning process. Yes. We spoke about the life cycle. We said there are 5 life cycles. How many processes are there in planning? No. All these answers are incorrect. No. Thank you very much, Ecobasi. 24 processes in planning. There are 24 processes in planning. Where did you see 16? Let me see. No. If you go back to our introduction, you will see it. This one you are seeing is develop project management plan. Is for us to develop project management plan, all of these ones come under it. So we are developing a plan. We must collect a requirement. We are developing a plan. We must define scope. We are developing a plan. You understand? There are now places where we now begin to plan communication. We'll get to where we plan communication. You understand? This one is developing project management plan, which is with this. There's place we get plan communication. So there are 24 of them. You understand? Like we said, beginning, there are 24 of them. So it's not 15. This one we are discussing is development of project management plan. So we are developing it. But the entire process is what? 24. Which happens to be this 16 you are seeing, or 15, happens to be part of them, but is categorized under development of project management plan. Are we together? So please, it is 24 processes. So in taking 24 processes, it will take us a longer time. You understand? Discussing 24 processes will take us a longer time. So that's why we'll be shooting till 9:30, maybe from last week, today, and maybe next week. Then after next week, then we can now begin to shoot gradually. Is that okay? Yes. So it is 24 processes. So we'll be able to take some today, we'll take some next week, and we'll conclude. You understand? So planning will take us longer time, like I've rightly mentioned, since we're discussing 24 processes. Sequence activity. What do I do in sequencing activity? I have a list of all my activities for this phase. What should I do next in planning? I arrange it in the order of execution. Remember, when we were defining activities, we say, do not arrange them in order of execution so that you don't forget anyone. But sequence activity is saying, arrange them in the order of execution. So now let's go. So how do I sequence my activities? Let's say there is 15 activities in my phase 3. There is 15 activities in my phase 3. Now, there is no way that 15 activities will happen at once. You understand? There's no way it will happen at once. Now, in that my 15 activities in phase 3, we're given 3 weeks for us to finish it. So what it means is that if I have 15 activities and I'm given 3 weeks to finish it, by calculation, how many activities should I finish in a week? I have 15 activities. 5 activities. That's my milestone. So I need to finish 5 activities in a week. What do you think I've done? I've been able to spread all of the activities across the duration that is given to me. You understand? Which is what we call precede the others. Precedent. And that's what we call it in organizing your activities in order of execution. Precedent. Or which means to sequence your activities. Now, once you know the activity you are going to carry out in a phase, the next thing is planning a sequencing. You understand? How do we sequence our activities? What are the techniques that we need to use to sequence our activities? Again, we are going to be using precedent diagrammic method. Yes, precedent diagrammic method. That's what we are going to be used. What we are going to use. Now, this is precedent diagrammic method. Now, this is what is explaining. Now, everyone, look at your screen. Look at your screen. So for our project, we have a project and we're about starting. What's the first activity we are going to do? Remember, the project is for us to paint. Maybe it's a painting work of a new building. There are no items inside. You understand? So what are the activities we are going to carry out? What's the first one? Good. The first one is scrape, right? Yes, to scrape it. The next one is what? To prime. Yes, we know what priming is. And when you scrape, all those small potty where you see, you can't begin the fill them. They make sure say everything they even. That's priming. You understand? Now, which one should happen next? Is it painting or cleaning of equipment? Which one should happen next? The painting first. Okay, prime first. Okay. You are responding to the other message. So between painting and cleaning of our equipment, which one should happen first? Which one should happen first? The painting should happen first. So that after painting, you can now clean. Okay? Yes. Okay, painting. Is it also possible that these two things happen at the same time? We are painting, we are cleaning our equipment. It's very possible, right? Yes. Because when you look at the arrow, from prime, after priming, say priming contain a lot of all this potty. So we're going to need maybe we also clean our equipment so that the painting go fit work. At some point, we may decide to paint. So it's possible that two of them could happen at the same time. So this means two things can happen at the same time, or one can happen and the other does not happen. Or one can happen and the other one does not wait for the other one. If you go back, before we can prime, what do we need to do? Beautiful. We need to scrape. So before we can paint, we need to do what? We need to prime. Before we can clean the equipment, we need to do what? We need to still prime. But before we can finish, we need to paint, and we need to clean equipment. Do we see the precedence? Yes, so that's how it's going to be. Aha, so somebody merits one for saying cleaning the equipment, use it to prime before painting. So it's still possible that one can wait for the other. That's what all of these things means. Are we getting the precedence? So if you look at your when we are doing schedule, we'll be looking at finish to start, which is FS. Finish to start, beginning to start to finish. You understand? Now let's look at another one. Let's look at another one. Talking about dependency, there are 4 types of dependency that you will come across. There are 4 types of dependency. Please, can you mention them? Can you mention them? Can you use the chat box? No, types of dependency. Types of dependency. Go to 73. Yes, type of dependency. Can we list them? There are 4 types of dependency we can use. There are 4 types of dependency we can use.
There is mandatory dependency, descriptionary dependency, external dependency, and internal dependency.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Now, let's quickly look at them. If we are talking about dependency, you are going to observe that there are some dependency among your activities that will be mandatory. Remember last week when we began our discussion, I told us that there are some processes that we need to finish that will become an input for another process. I made mention of, if you want to make pounded yam, it means that there should be a farmer who must have cultivated the yam and bring it to the market. You go to the market and buy it before you can make pounded yam. Remember. So we now want to categorize our activities and see which one depends on which one is discretion, which activity we can use discretion, which activity it is mandatory, then which one is external and which one is internal. Now, in mandatory situation or in mandatory dependency, it is a situation that if we look at the activity, for example, painting this place. Yes. So is it possible for me to apply the new paint before scraping the old one? No. You understand? So it means that I need to scrape first before I put the new paint. So it is mandatory in this situation that the old paint must be scraped off before the new paint is applied. So the dependency between those activities is natural and mandatory. Do we get the point? Do we get the point, guys? Do we get the point? Those of us online, do we get the point? Good.
Yes.
So it means that before we go feel paint.
Yes, we do.
Yes. Before we go feel paint this office, we're going to need to scrape the old paint before we feel apply new one. But if you apply a new one before you start to scrape the old paint, what is that? What is that? Is that not work in vain? That's work in vain now. You can't apply new paint first before you can say, oh, we're supposed to scrape the old paint. If you want to scrape the old paint, what will happen? You will scrape out the new one, not so? Exactly. So that's about that when it comes to mandatory dependency. Now let's look at discretion dependency. So imagine that I want to roof this building. Yes. So part of what will make me to roof this building is for me to bring in carcass, wood, right? Yes, wood is when in architecture or in construction we call them carcass, roof carcass. That is all the element of material that will make a roof stand. So you see, we'll bring wood. Now, when you bring those wood, there is what we can do. I can either treat the wood from ground, treat the wood before taking it up for them to install it. Is that correct? Yes. Is that correct? Now, is it also still possible that after they have finished the work, I don't treat the wood from ground. I allow them to use the wood like that. Then, and I went ahead immediately after they are done with the work, and I begin to spray the chemical. Is that also possible? Is it also possible? Good. So this one is based on what? Discretion. It is based on what? Discretion. How it suits you. Are we getting the points? How it suits you. And that's discretion dependence. So how it suits you, how it works for you, you can go ahead and do that. You understand? So your answer is depending on you. So if you do this, we call it based on discretion. What is best for you? You understand? Now, sometimes your project activity will depend on another activity that is not part of your project activity, and it is not part of your company's activity. For example, our own is to erect structure, right? Our own is to build. Our own is to do the civil work. That's the language, civil. That's the professional language. Our own is to carry out the civil work. Then there are other bodies, or there are other people who need to come and install doors, install windows. That one is not part of my work. But do you know that not until they install those frames, not until they install those doors or the frame of the doors, we cannot do dressing for the windows and the doors. You know what they call dressing? Yes. If you look at this as you're entering the office now, if you look at the edge, are you seeing the edge? This edge now, like this, it is called dressing. By the time you install this frame, when we are building, you have not installed this frame, there's no way we can do this dressing. You understand? So our work, the people that is installing the door, is not in our organization. Our organization is just to build the walls. Then the people who are going to install door never can install them. Can we dress? No, we cannot dress. You understand? So when you have a situation like this, we call it external dependence. We had a construction project in Bellevue Phase 3 back in 2020. I think we experienced this same thing. The project was under Urban Shelter Limited, the developer in Abuja, one of the biggest developer in Abuja. You understand? So we waited. At some point, we were waiting for other external bodies to come and all of that. Now, let's look at internal dependency. Internal dependency is a situation where your activity depends on another activity to finish. You understand? Now, your project activities, your company activities, that's external dependency. It's a situation whereby your project activities depend on another activity that is not your activity, but your company's activity. This morning, what are the activities? Let me use, for example, Leveler Construction and Consulting, for example. My work this morning was to come and do what? Was to come and deliver lecture on project management. Is that correct? Yes. So what is the work of Leveler? The work of Leveler is for them to provide me with the atmosphere of how I am going to carry out my class. Imagine that I came to the office this morning, Leveler has not opened the office. Will I be able to carry out my own activity? No. You understand? Imagine, okay, Leveler now opened the office, but there is no chair. There is no laptop. Will I be able to carry out my activities? No. Imagine I now came, Leveler did not publish yesterday that, look, we get class today, let people join. Will there be anybody in this meeting right now? No. You understand? So Leveler needed to open the office. Leveler needed to open to inform you guys about the training for today. Leveler need to publish it on the group. Leveler need to send you the link. You understand? So that me now can now deliver my own lecture. So if Leveler has not done those things, will I be able to deliver my lecture? No. So it's an internal dependency. I don't know. Did we get it? Did we get this analogy? Please use the chat box, because we are beginning to move technically now. Technicality now don't begin to set up for project management. You understand? Technicality is now setting up, is setting in. Are we together? Please use a thumb up button if we are good to go. Yes. Perfectly understood. Beautiful. Now let's make progress. Let's look at so upon completion of your sequence of activities, you will have the project schedule network diagram. This is what project schedule network diagram looks like. Okay. Once you have sequenced your activity, you will be able to come up with this diagram. We call this diagram project schedule network diagram. Project schedule network diagram. Now, this is technical, so let's look at it. For example, let's go together. So look at the project schedule network diagram. Yes. Let's look at all of these alphabet you are seeing. They are all activity. So we have activity A, activity B, activity F, activity C, activity G, activity D, activity, let me use my pointer, activity E, and activity H. All of this activity will happen before we can say we are done. Are you in the project schedule network diagram? Beautiful. So now let's look at it. Will I be correct if I say B activities succeed activity A? Will I be correct if I say B activity succeed activity A? Meaning that activity B cannot start not until activity A and C is done. Is that correct? Is that correct? Beautiful. So B has two predecessors. Who are the predecessors of B? A and C. Beautiful. You are getting it. We are beginning to get it. So what that means is that B can only start when A has finished and C has done what? Has finished. So B can only start when A and C has finished. Is that correct? Yes. So I think we are making progress. We are getting it, Abby. Now let's look at activity G. Activity G will never start until which activity finishes. And beautiful. Let me use the chat box because it's only it be like saying I only what's that your name again? Zainab. It be like saying I only Zainab break class. So please, those of us online, use the chat box. So I still remember but when they talk, so that I go not say we did together.
Okay, sir.
So I've asked a question now. Look at activity G. Are you seeing activity G?
Yes, sir.
You are not seeing it. Look at activity G. Are you seeing your screen? Yes.
Yes, sir. We are seeing it.
Good. I am now asking which activity has to finish before activity G can start? Which activity has to finish before activity G can start?
Activity A and C.
Okay. Okay, check it very well. Which activity needs to finish before activity G can start? Check it, the person that just answered me now. Check it very well. Which activity needs to finish?
Activity C and E.
C and E. C and E.
Beautiful. Activity C and E. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You guys are getting it now. So in your project, there are activities that depend on other activities before they can start. That's what it means. You understand? For you to marry a wife, what do you need to do first? You go first ask the babe out. Is that not the first thing you will do? You go date the babe for some time. You go meet her parents. Then you go propose. Then she will agree. Then the two families will meet for introduction. Then they will give you lists of items of things that you will buy. Then you will return with the items and you will do the marriage rite. If you like, you do white wedding. If you like, you do traditional. What am I saying? What I'm saying is that I cannot walk up to for example, let me say Ikobasi or Philippa, and say Philippa or Ikobasi, let us marry. They go first, they look me, say, this man, are you normal? Because I never even toast you. We never begin dates. You understand? So she will not agree. You understand? Because she will expect me to take her to a very fancy restaurant, buy her beautiful things, buy her dress, make her happy, before I will now go and tell her, say, okay, do you want to marry me? Before she will now agree and say yes, because yes is very expensive. For somebody to tell you yes, it's very, very expensive. You understand? So she will want me to take her out, take her to a very fancy restaurant, behave like a gentleman, open the door for her. She will come down. You understand? Then I'll begin to tell her beautiful, beautiful things. You understand? Begin to call her names. I'll begin to ask, is your name Gogu? Because you are the one I've been searching for. Those are the things you need to put in place. You understand? For her to now tell you yes. You understand? So you need to do a lot of things for her to not tell you. So after you have told her a lot of lies, you have whined her, then she will not go ahead and tell you, yes, I'm going to marry you. What am I saying in essence? There are activities that needs to be done before another one can do what? Can start. You understand? So guys, at this point, there are things that we need to do before. These are things we need to do actually before we can proceed in other activities. Our people say na ground wey soft na fowl dey scatter. So it means before fowl go fit scatter ground, the ground don't first wet. Is that okay? Now let's look at. So this is where we are going to stop for today. I think when we resume next week, we are going to begin with estimate resource, estimate activity duration, and so on. So thank you very much, guys, for your time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, so you are going to take a little recess because your data analysis is going to start by 9:30. Yes, I push forward so that we can actually be able to cover up to this point. Is that okay? So thank you very much. Those of us who are here, who are still here, please come into the chat box right now and take your attendance. Those of us who are leaving, please come back and take your attendance. So write your full name. Yes, please write your full name for the attendance. Please go ahead and write your full name. Use this period to write your full name. Use this period to write your full name. You're already here. But are you online? Okay. Oh, are you serious? Okay. Okay, you have it. Please remember to take your attendance. There was a place I recorded this in last week. So just do and put today's date. Right. Just write dates under the name, then you write your name. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to end the meeting now so that we can have this record saved. By 9:30, please come in for your data analysis. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Please remember, those of us who are in the chat group, those of us in the chat group, especially those of us at Leveler chat group, please go to the chat groups and give us feedback about the classes. I said it last week. Please give us feedback and let us know if the class, just give us your feedback about the class. Your feedback will now help us to also make an improvement where we need to make an improvement. Thank you so much, everyone. So I'll end the meeting right now.